Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to unpack complex ideas and, pull out the really valuable stuff for you. Today, we're getting into something pretty fundamental, I think, for success, for well-being. Effective time management. We're looking at a really comprehensive review of the art of effective time management. Our goal, to boil it down for you, we want to help you get past just like ticking boxes, to really understand the why behind using your time strategically so you can master your minutes, maximize your potential.
Yeah, it's such a critical topic because time, well, it's the one thing you really can't get back, right? It's finite. So figuring out how to use it well isn't just about, being productive. It's absolutely core to hitting your goals personally and professionally, especially with how fast everything moves these days.
Okay, so let's unpack that straight away because the source material, it doesn't just treat this as like a few handy tips. It frames time management as, well, way bigger. A mindset, a discipline, almost a strategic way of living that needs self-awareness, planning, and really knowing how to prioritize. That's a really important distinction it makes right up front. Separating being busy from actually being productive. That's key. It argues that truly successful people, they're not just trying to do more. They're carefully linking their daily actions, linking them right back to their big long-term goals. It's about impact, not just frantic activity.
Right. And once you get that mindset, the source jumps into the how, the practical ways to work smarter. And the first big one they hit on is the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle. Now, most of us have probably heard of it. 20% of effort gets you 80% of results, roughly. But the source apparently gives a framework for actually finding that 20%. It suggests specific ways to audit your time, reflect, to really figure out where your biggest leverage points are. So it's not just theory. Exactly. It's about pinpointing where you get the most bang for your buck, essentially. And building on that, there's the Eisenhower Matrix. It's presented as more than just sorting tasks. It's a strategic tool, the 4 boxes. Urgent and important. Important but not urgent. Urgent but not important, and neither. But what it really stresses is that important but not urgent box. The source says tackling those things proactively is how you prevent future fires. It's strategic growth, not just damage control.
That makes sense. And to make sure you actually do those important things, time blocking comes up. They frame it as more than just scheduling. It's like a commitment device. You block the time, and crucially, you protect that time. It even talks about ways to minimize interruptions, maybe using specific tools or communication tactics to carve out that deep workspace. Then for all the little things, the stuff that clutters your mind, there's the 2-minute rule, which sounds almost too simple.
It does sound simple. If it takes less than 2 minutes, just do it now. But the power, according to the source, is psychological. It lowers the barrier to getting started on other things. And you build this momentum from knocking out small wins all day.
Yeah, that sense of momentum, I can see that.
Exactly. And that flows right into the idea of MIT's most important tasks. The principle is basically, start your day tackling the 2 or 3 things that deliver the absolute most value. It really captures that win the morning, win the day idea. You set a productive tone instead of just reacting to whatever pops up.
What I found really insightful in the review was that it goes beyond just the tactics. It really digs into the psychology. It explores why we procrastinate. Things like, fear of failure, perfectionism, even something called decision fatigue. Like if you ever felt just overwhelmed by choices and ended up doing nothing, that's it. That's the fatigue leading to avoidance.
Absolutely. And it makes the point that good time managers aren't just hyper-organized robots. They have high emotional intelligence. They understand their limits. They plan around their energy levels when they're sharpest. And they build routines that help them stay productive without, burning out, which connects perfectly to habit building. The review mentions James Clear's Atomic Habits, reinforcing this idea that time management is fundamentally behavior management. It's about making these productive actions into consistent small habits that just compound, making productivity your default almost.
The deep dive also covers the practical toolkit, which is great. It shows how flexible this all can be. So it looks at modern digital tools, things like Notion, Trello, Google Calendar for planning, tracking. But it also gives props to analog methods, like the Pomodoro technique working in focused bursts.
Yeah, and it evaluates them pretty fairly, I think. Not as a, this is the only way thing, but showing how different methods suit different people or different kinds of work.
Mm.
That adaptability is really highlighted. It shows how you can customize these things, whether you're, say, a creative needing flexibility, a student juggling classes, an exec with a packed schedule, or even a parent managing home life. It's not one size fits all.
And one of the most compelling things mentioned are the real-life case studies. That really brings it home. Instead of just abstract ideas, you get stories. Entrepreneurs, students, people who genuinely turn things around using these principles. Like the review apparently mentions a student who went from really struggling to actually thriving just by consistently using time blocking for studying.
Hmm.
It shifted procrastination to focus. That makes it so much more relatable,
Yeah,
right? And proves this stuff actually works in the real world.
it definitely does. But this brings up an important point. What are the common traps? What goes wrong? The source details quite a few pitfalls, like spending ages planning but never actually doing the work. Or the myth of multitasking. The review strongly argues it just makes you less efficient, not more. Also, not leaving any buffer time between things, and just saying yes to everything without thinking about the cost or failing to delegate when you could. And it frames these less as simple mistakes and more as mindsets that need shifting if you really want to improve.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the big picture here, this whole deep dive into the art of effective time management? What's the core message? It seems pretty clear it's not just about cramming more into your day.
Not at all. The biggest takeaway, loud and clear from the sources, time management isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters most. It really boils down to intentionality.
Exactly. Intentionality, the source sounds like it's genuinely motivational, but also really actionable, teaching you how to build a life that's more intentional, more balanced, and yeah, ultimately more fulfilling. So for you listening, here's maybe a final thought to chew on. What if you applied just one of these ideas? Even a small shift in how you approach your time, how could that change your day, your effectiveness? How could it move you closer to that intentional, balanced life? Based on this review, this guide sounds like a must-read if you're feeling overwhelmed or scattered or just want to be more effective. Doesn't matter if you're a student, professional, entrepreneur, parent. Seems like there's something in there for everyone.